Hi, everyone. Good morning to those of you in the States. Welcome to I guess it's the other side of the full moon lunar eclipse. I'm Vidette Mayer for those of you who are coming in here after the fact on the recording. I've gotten a couple of messages from new people, which I love. And I just forget that sometimes there's new people that come in here. I just come in and usually just start, and I'm finding out that I need to introduce myself a little bit. So I am Vidette. I am here to deliver peace talks. This is the place that we come to restore the storehouse within, the provisional storehouse within of peace, and to remind ourselves that there are many different perspectives in the world. And we tap into the different perspectives of the unseen world, in the world of energy and in the world of consciousness, in order to expand into higher levels of being and quite frankly, higher levels of integration. And as we integrate and align, we come into expanded consciousness, which gives us different eyes to see and perceive the world. And that gives us a little bit different of a perception and an experience of life. So if you're new here and you're on the recording, welcome. I'm pretty I was going to say pretty excited about today, but quite frankly, it's been a weird day. And I say weird just because it is a little bit anticlimactic for me. And what I mean by that is we have come off of a pretty highly charged week last week energetically, and we saw it in the different energies coming into our planet. We also, just through the messages we received on peace talks, had a lot of messages of the flatline peace talks was a hugely big energy of a message that came through as I delivered it last week. And that had a lot of you responding and feeling that and saying, yes, that's how I feel. And then we had the respawn message again. When that came through, that was hugely expansive for me. And as I shared that on Peace Talks, so too did many of you. So I know that was a big energetic day. And then we went into the rooted Peace Talks, and that is how we have now kind of rebirthed ourselves after the respawn and are now rooted into the fifth dimensional frequency of Earth. So we are rooting our energies. We are grounding our energies as we get, and I keep going like this because we're kind of moving, like how I see it, is we're moving from this being anchored into this 3D Earth that we learned last week is flatlined. So the higher dimensional and the fourth dimensional Earth, that has flatlined. So we are, basically we are rebuilding a new dimensional reality by bringing in these higher frequencies of light, expanding our consciousness, purging out old densities, and rooting them into the next dimensional reality, where that reality is of a higher dimension, a higher vibration, a higher frequency, which delivers more abundance, more prosperity, more health, well-being, and all of that. And when we look out into our world, it looks as though like we're not even close. We're not even close to that. However, what we do know is that those old, the old versions of Earth, the 3D and 4D inverted matrix energy grid that was feeding, but really sucking the energy out of humanity and out of the Earth, is crumbling. So what we're seeing is now we are seeing the destruction of that false world. And we haven't quite seen the construction yet of the new and the true reality. And we are in this in-between phase. So it feels a little disconcerting at times. It feels really uncomfortable. Being in the unknown. I've had a few conversations this week where I've heard myself say, as well as people I talk to, who say, I just don't know. I just don't know. And how many times I've said, I don't know, nothing. I can't grasp onto anything tangible in my reality of what's next or where am I going? I don't know. And that's exactly where we have to be in order to start, to start rebuilding. And that kind of comes into today's peace talks and today's message about eclipsed revelation. So I'm going to get to that, but before I get started, I wanted to remind you that today we have a pretty big energy day. We've built up. This is kind of the bookend of eclipse season. So we started out on the 25th with a solar eclipse, and we're ending eclipse season here today on November 8th with a lunar eclipse. And between those two eclipses is a lot of energy that's bringing transformation. And as we come off of today, and plus it being election day in the U.S., there's going that's going to be it's just going to be interesting to watch how that unfolds, how humanity, how Americans and pretty much the world's watching this. We are on stage today, and how this unfolds is going to be a fascinating story to watch unfold, however it goes, because we know that this is the start of the rebuilding of the U.S., of our political system, of our governmental system, and unfortunately, it too has to crumble before it starts being rebuilt on a more truthful and a more honest and just system, because it has been corrupted so badly that there's really voting to me is always for years. I'm like, what's the point? Both sides are just corrupted. And so now we are in a really pivotal moment in time today. And for it to fall on election day, that we also have a full moon lunar eclipse, is pretty amazing. The whole idea of an eclipse is to bring out the shadows, to expose the shadows, to disclose the shadows. So how this all unfolds, all eyes are on it. So it's a really exciting day. And then we go into Friday of this week, which is the 11:11 portal. And the 11:11 portal is one of the most energetically charged portals of energy, and it opens up and it flows. It flows like a tidal wave for about the next 40 days through the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, summer solstice in the southern hemisphere on December 21st. So on Friday, I am hosting an 11:11 supernal collective event. And it's for 5 souls to gather around with me in a circle to open up our supernal channels, to get very clear, to get cleansed. And we're going to have a practice for that and have open up our supernal channels, which then when 6 of us have done that, we become this open container of universal wisdom, universal knowledge, to pull in a message for us to tune into for those 40 days, for that 40 days of a tsunami of energy that then takes us into 2023. So it's really important that we stay intentional for those 40 days. Last year on the daily tune-in, we kind of focused pretty hard on those 40 days and all the ways that energy flows through us and really staying attuned to it. We're going to do it again this year. But instead of me pulling in the message, I want those of us in our community to come together. Where 2 or more are gathered, there I am. We are going to connect our I am presences, come together, and we are going to collectively pull in a message that will support us through this tidal wave. So I have put the link in the chat. So if you'd like to join me, I do have 4 spots left for that. I think this is going to be a really powerful circle of light that we bring together on Friday. So I wanted to just let you know on that. So here is the message for today. As I sat with this eclipse, and I typically will kind of
on the day of a peace talks, we'll sit down and just say, what's the message for today? Sometimes I come into it and I know it because it's just, it's such a powerful wave of energy that I just can't ignore. But today has been really calm for me. It's been just still and quiet. And if you've been on here on these daily tune or the peace talks, you also know that my environment is not quiet. I have construction going on. There's jackhammering down there, so that's still going on. And yet, when I looked out over the water here in Albania, over the Ionian Sea, it was so calm. When there was just a pause in the jackhammering, the town is quiet. The atmosphere is quiet. And I will say the last couple of days have been really, really big energies. I was having a conversation last night with one of our Peace Talks community members, Liza, and we were both like just feeling this potentiality. That's what I'm going to call it. And last night I took the dogs for a walk, and I was just like, I felt like I was, and it's a strange feeling because I felt my consciousness was like out, it expanded out of my body, and it felt like I could feel it all around me. And it really reminded me of, it felt similar but not, to when I was really anxiety ridden for a good portion of my adult life, especially as a parent. I had a lot of anxiety for a long time, and that was so constricting, and it sat right here, and it was heavy, right? Anxiety just like you can't get a breath. This feeling that I had last night, it's an expansive feeling, and I felt it in the last few days, like I said, since the whole respawn message came through, and I had that process that I shared on last week's Peace Talks. This energy now that I carry is bigger. It's bigger than me. It takes up more space, I'm finding. And I've never had that before. So I was just like, what? And it's not heavy like this. It's just so big. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. And what I was telling my friend Liza is it's so big, and it's almost as if what came to me today, it's like what I imagine a volcano feels like before it erupts. Okay. So just bear with me because I'm at one point somewhere, I guess I was a volcano. But I can, when a volcano is before it erupts, it builds pressure, it builds, right? And then all of a sudden, it just can't expand anymore without going. So it's kind of that kind of energy. Sorry about all the kind of words. I'm just trying to translate this energy. So this bigness of energy just feels so big, like it's just going to explode into materialization. So energy is potentiality. It's the potentiality of becoming. When we focus on it with intention and feeling, it creates that electromagnetic field. Our consciousness, what we think and what we feel, creates an electromagnetic potentiality that eventually you give it enough attention, it materializes. That's how our reality is created. So as I was walking last night, and I became very aware, it's like, oh wait, this is my energy. It's just bigger than I've ever known it to be. And as I all of a sudden, like the whole idea of this volcano, and I know now, I realize now, this potentiality is about to expand and be projected into my reality. It's about to materialize. And what it materializes into, I don't know. There's the I don't know, but I also know where I've been real mindful about keeping my thoughts and putting my energy into, which is my heaven on earth. So there's this anticipation. There's this feeling of radical expansion, and that's been coming into my awareness quite a bit. I actually posted about that in our private gathering space that I have here online. I talked about it on the last Peace Talk, Storehouse Social. This is a private community. There's no fee for it. The only energy you bring is yourself, your soul. And I'm not putting it out there for everybody to see and for everybody to be invited to. It's invite only. And the only reason why it's exclusive is it's for those who tune into these peace talks. Because if it's embedded, I'm just embedding them in these peace talks, the invitation. And if you want to be a part of it and you're here at this point, just shoot me a message and I'll send you the address. It's just like it's my home, but I want to really commune. I want to invite people in who are dedicated and committed to this work and who are serious about doing this work and are ready to get vulnerable and want to share their intentions, want to share their heaven on earth. I'm sharing. I plan to share more, more vulnerably there than I do here. And a lot of people say, "You're so vulnerable. I love how vulnerable you are on peace talks." In my gathering space, in my home, I'm much more vulnerable, and I feel safer sharing more of myself. And I want you to feel safer sharing with me. And I want to get to really know and commune with this community. So I've set up this space for us. It's a private space. And just like if I were to invite you to my home, I'm not going to put the address on the internet. You're going to reach out to me and say, "Hey, I'd love to come to your party." And then I'll text you the address. So how this is working is if you are here and you want to be part of this community, just shoot me an email at connect@vedettemeyer.com or shoot me a DM and I will send you the address to join us. But I was posting in that space today just about just how I don't know, this bigness, this potentiality of energy, that consciousness that is now so big. It takes up space, so much space that I'm so aware of it. And it's not heavy, but I'm just aware that I'm carrying a lot more energy now. And when we have this energy and we know it's going to be expressed somehow in physical reality, I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but I know where I've spent my time. And especially coming into these eclipse energies and in between eclipses, I have been really conscientious about spending a lot of time in meditation, in intentional moments of pauses where I tune into my heaven on earth, where I connect into it and I feel it, I see it, and I'm communing with those that I want to invite into my heaven on earth. And so I know it's about to express itself. And it feels like the other thing that I realized too, it's like, for those who have given birth, or we kind of all know the process. There comes that point when you just have to push, like you have the contractions and then your body's like, it's time. That's how this big energy feels. And it's been the last couple of days that I felt this bigness. And all of a sudden, like last night, it was like, it's time to express this. Like, I've got to get this out into the world. And what we are doing with that revelation moment is to make the connection of how to take this energy and project it through our third eye, which is how we see and view our reality. So we are learning the mechanics of expanding our consciousness and then projecting it out. So in the moment of revelation, I do believe that's when we project this reality, and it feels so close. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's hours, days, months, who knows at this point. But I just know that it's getting ready to express itself. So we have got to really be in the energy of and supporting the energy of what we want to see expressed. Okay. So I want to talk about the energy of this eclipse, because here's what came to me earlier today. And I sat down. Typically, I'll sit down and say, "What's the message for today?" And I set my alarm because I really wanted to be in the process of bringing this message in during the height of the eclipse, because it was, I think, like 3:06 a.m. on Pacific time. And that was around like noon at my time here in Albania. So it was like prime time for me to be in the moment of pulling this energy in. And I got it just to get a beautiful, beautiful tone. And I had beautiful music in my ears, so I didn't hear jackhammering. And I started to really think about the whole eclipse. And every time you look at anything on what does the eclipse signify on like Instagram or whatever, it's all about bringing out the shadows, right? An eclipse will shadow, will shadow the sun or the earth or the moon. So today, because it's a lunar eclipse, the sun and the earth aligned, which put a shadow on the moon. And so that just symbolizes that our shadows are coming up, and we are being asked to take a look at our shadows, do that shadow work, anything that comes up. So there are a lot of people. Priya's dreaming. I don't know if you can hear. There's a lot of people that are talking about feeling a lot of energy and a lot of sadness and grief. These waves are coming through. I had none of that. I wasn't feeling any of that. I feel like I need to get my light going over here because the sun's going down. Give me 1 second to rearrange a little bit so I can do this now before I really get into the. Everything's falling. I've got stuff. Oh, y'all, I've got stuff everywhere because I'm packing up to leave, get ready to evacuate. And so I've got stuff everywhere and everything's falling. Okay, now we're ready. Sorry about that. I'll be better prepared tomorrow. I wasn't sure if I'd need it or not. So eclipses will bring out the shadow. I looked at other words to describe what does an eclipse bring. It brings degradation. It brings degeneration. It brings devolution, descent. So it takes us deep into our stuff, right? In most cases. And I wasn't getting any of that. And I was like, that's interesting because I'm usually pretty, when something comes in, when a wave comes in, the wave typically takes me deep. But today it didn't. And so I was sitting there and I was like, oh, nothing's coming in. So then I thought, well, shoot, what's the opposite of that? Because at any given time, when we are experiencing something, we see something, the opposite expression is happening as well. So the opposite of shadow is light. The opposite of degradation is evolution. The opposite of degeneration is restoration. The opposite of devolution is revolution. The opposite of descent is ascent, is rising, ascending. And I thought, oh, I hadn't thought about that. At any given time when there's eclipse, yes, the darkness and the descension of into the deeper levels of emotion and traumas are being cleansed, but so too at the same time there's the opposite expression, because we are now living in a dual, in the 3D and 4D world is still dualistic. What happens here happens here. It's a duality. And I was just sitting with this. I thought there's something to this. So I went out and I sat on the deck because they were taking a break from jackhammering and I could actually be in the stillness for a minute. I was sitting in the sun thinking like, wow, this is so cool. It's like, the eclipse is at its peak right now. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I am sitting in the light side of the eclipse. So the sun is here, the earth is here, and over here is the moon. And this side of earth, this side is getting the darkness because the earth is blocking the light, right? But I'm over here on this side of the planet and I'm getting the light. I'm in the light. I'm experiencing the light side of the eclipse. So I was like, now I get it. I'm not in the darkness today because I am in the light. I am in the evolutionary energy of it. I am in the restoration energy of it. I am in the rise and the ascent. So I thought I am going to take advantage of this in all of that expansiveness. And I got connected in. I am my I am presence, and I connect into the I am presence of every man, woman, and child. And for every intention I state now, I state it for every man, woman, and child, and they get to choose whether or not to let this light in. And from here on out, I started just everything I wanted to bring in, everything I wanted to affirm, everything I wanted to bring into the light. I talked about my heaven on earth. I affirmed it's here. I affirmed that I'm ascending higher and wider, expanding into the light. I'm expanding into wholeness. I am expanding into prosperity. I am the light. I am beauty. I am health. I am expansive. And I just, man, for y'all, like for like 30 minutes, I just kept rambling all the things that I wanted for myself, which means I want it for you. I want it for the planet. I want it for this earth. And by doing that, when our consciousness expands, so too does the galaxy, so too does every planet in that galaxy, so too does the universe. As we expand, the universe expands because it's all infinite. And in that moment, I understood that by expanding into the fifth dimensional realm of frequency, we are unifying the dark and the light. They're just waves that pass us by. Waves of anxiety and sadness and grief come in, and then so too does waves of expansion. And I just finally like kind of got it. So I was expanding from the world of duality where, oop, this side's in the dark, this side's in the light, to hold on a second. I realized that I was in the light of this eclipse. And at the same time that these eclipses up until now, I thought, oh, everybody's in the darkness. There weren't. That wasn't the truth. Because for as many people that are in the darkness, there were people that were in the light side of it and experiencing expansion. And then I just sat after I was just done and I was complete with affirming, and which is my prayer. My prayer is to ascend into higher realms of light, higher realms of wisdom, higher realms of expansion in consciousness. And as my consciousness expansion, help me to then to see, to have the eyes to see and project that expansion into reality. And so too, I want that for all of my friends as well. That was my prayer. And when I was done and complete, I went and I sat and I just went, and I just let that integrate. And what became very clear is the message came in, and it's not one I'm going to read because I don't have to read it. It was just the knowing. It was just a knowing that, right, now is the time. Now it's go time for massive expansion, for the revelation and the revolution of your life that has been eclipsed and concealed underneath all of this darkness that has been shed. This particular day, this energy that we are in is now does have the power, because it is so big. It has the power to wash away and completely transform everything in your world, in your reality, in a moment. So where is your attention? If you are moving through some density and you are in the darkness of the eclipse, know that that is okay. You have to be there for now. And yet it is an ebb and a flow. It will pass. And once it passes and you get to the other side, it kind of reminded me of the whole flatline thing. When theme from last week. What do we hear all the time? Almost every single story I have ever heard of anyone who has had a near death experience. When they flatline and they come back, what do? Most of them change everything in their life. They decide to just live it because they see the potential. They understand from a higher level, and they say, I'm not coming back and repeating all the stuff that made me sick enough to flatline. I'm going to live. I'm going to expand. And our planet has flatlined. We talked about that last week. Many of us, and myself included, and a few of you came back to me and said, that resonated because I feel like I have flatlined. We have been respawned. We have upgraded into a new archetype. That thing is expansive. That archetype of it was that consciousness I was talking about last night, where I couldn't like put it all together, but I'm like, what is this? I've never been this big in energy. And what came through today was the puzzle pieces all coming together, where this is the expansive energy of coming back and completely revolutionizing our life by paying attention, by keeping our awareness and our mind and our hearts on the heaven on earth, on the expansive nature in which we want to project into our reality over this Jubilee year. If that's a new term, go back to episode 1. I talked about it. So, this is our opportunity. We have this massive rebirth of energy that is now getting ready to, in potentiality, getting ready to materialize. We are going to then magnetize it, charge it on 11/11, on in what is that, 4 days from now? 3 days, something like that, on Friday of this week. And some of you are going to gather around with me, and we are going to get really intentional about what we're going to concentrate these peace talks on for the next 40 days after that, because it's going to be intentionalizing this bigness of energy, this bigness of consciousness that all of us have grown into, that we've been rebirthed into. And we are ready now to completely see these realities in our reality, to beam these holograms into a completely different reality. This is where we change it completely. Radical expansion. Unless you are in the darkness and you're and still in that inverted matrix, in the mindset and in the energy of the inverted matrix, and then that's going to be radically expanded. And we know what that makes us feel like: tired, worn out, anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, resentful, judgmental. None of that has worked, which is why it's all crumbling. So you got to be really, really, really intentional about where you're spending your time. Even with what you're watching on Netflix or what you're looking at on Instagram, that puts you into some kind of emotional charge. And that emotion, you could have your heaven on earth here, but if you are emotionally charged because you're watching some show that's stressing you out or amping you up in an unhealthy way, you are electromagnetically charging something that up here is charged high and this is charged low. You're just negating it. So this is an intentionally huge week to to really focus, y'all. This is where we've got to focus, because what we are focusing on is going to be radically expanded. What has been eclipsed is now going to be revolutionized, and it's going to be revealed to us. And it's going to be revealed to us in our expanded consciousness, in what we see, what insights come to us, what ideas come to us. And they're going to be, I believe they're going to be kind of radically different. We are going to get new opportunities. We are going to start seeing new people. And we have to understand that this is all now a new projection of our consciousness. So if we meet someone or someone reaches out to us and they feel different, they resonate different than the normal people, it could be really easy to be like, well, that's weird. But wait a minute. If we are focused on the potentiality that is now becoming reality, we might be like, hold on, I need to pay attention. This person feels a little different. This opportunity is different than I've ever gotten. Let me pay attention. This new, I don't know, this new choice that I get. This just different things are going to be subtly showing up, but have the subtleness of the choice, the subtleness of the introduction, the subtleness of the opportunity is going to be potentiality. When you say yes to it and it opens up and blossoms into regrowth, into something that just expands so quickly, radical expansion in your life, all of a sudden you're going to look back and be like, holy crap, that was divine potentiality that was manifested, made manifest, and materialized in the form of this coincidence. But I was paying attention and looking for all the things that seem a little out of place, and I'm saying yes, or I'm paying attention more. And just simply by intentionalizing your focus, you then expand the potentiality into a birth of a new relationship, a new I don't want to call it job, a new karmic work, dharma kind of work that all of a sudden opens up. There might be a new a new pathway that just opens up, and you're like, oh my god, that's leading to my heaven on earth. It's not going to be a poof, here's heaven on earth. It's going to be a poof, here's a little opportunity that looks a little different. So this is where we have got to really pay attention. I know I'm beating a dead horse with this whole thing, but it's clear as day to me. This bigness and expansion of who you are, it can only materialize into reality when it's just an idea in the mind, and it comes and all of a sudden it appears in reality, and you say, boop, I'll take that, yes. And then it expands and you see what's behind the door. That is when your heaven on earth starts to not only sprout, but remember what we were talking about, up potting. We up pot a plant and it kind of withers a little bit until it digs in, and then it comes alive. So the digging in is the little opportunity, the offer, the synchronicity, the coincidence that you're like, oh, that came out of nowhere, and you poke it open and it just blossoms. And then it leads to something, then it leads to something, then it spawns a new idea, then it seeds something else. And that is how the rapid growth is going to happen, starting this week into the 40 days to the December solstice. And then it's like bamboo, in that sixth year, it goes haywire. That's what 2023 has the potential, is holding. It's holding that. But those who are deep in the shadow, who haven't awakened yet, it's going to be a totally different year, because that same rapid expansion is going to grow in karmic ways that may not be so fun, because they aren't aware and they haven't grown their consciousness. They've stayed in anxiety and fear and all of those lower dimensional realms. But for those of us in here, this week is where we start to see. We start to see with these eyes, because we have seen and held the vision here with this eye. And the more we see here, the more we expand, the more we nurture this, and we get this in alignment, and everything expands and we rise up. And as we rise up in frequency, it just expands all around us. It expands. And that's why you might feel big some days. Like last night, I was like, I take up a lot of space, and it's not just this body. Like, I'm taking up this much space. But today I integrated that. So as I sat here today and I was like, it's quiet and I don't feel like that bigness, it's because I finally was able to pull it in, embody it, ground it down, and now I'm primed. I am primed, and I am looking for the opportunity to approach me. I am looking now in my reality. Where is it? It's here somewhere. I can feel it. So it's really, really important to stay focused. Okay, I think that wraps it up. I hope you get this. Like, my heart's like big right now. It's pretty expansive, which tells me that this is an important message. It's something to pay attention to. It's electrically charged. So these words that I have spoken are the translation of some pretty big energy that has come in today. And it makes me know when my heart feels like this, and it's expanding open. It makes me know to pay attention, that these are words of truth. They resonate really, really big. And I would love, the other thing I'm asking those in my private community, I want to know what is it that I can hold in mind for you. What are you focusing on? What are you looking to see in your heaven on earth? I would love to, again, invite, if you are still here and you are watching this video, I want you in our community. I want to know you because you're here this long. And I want you to come into the Storehouse socialize with us. I want to know what you are working on. I want to hold that in my mind and my heart for you so that we can all support each other energetically and holding space for our heaven on earth to be held just long enough in intentionality and in consciousness for it to start to sprout. And once it sprouts, it's going to go bonkers. And I want to celebrate the bonkers with you. I want to go bonkers with you because I believe in these next few months, we are all going to watch each other start to be like, oh my God, guess what just happened? Oh my gosh. When the rest of the world's like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And how am I going to live? We've already been through that. We've already transcended that world. We've stepped out of that world and we are in a completely different world. We are in the light of all that has been eclipsed for generations, for millennia. We have seen the light, we have seen the truth, or we've sniffed enough of it that we're like, yep, no more am I going to be eclipsed by that world. I'm going to create my own. And we are primed at the moment to create amazingness. We are the pioneers of light. We are the pioneers of this new earth. We are creating it. And I'm super honored to be here creating it with you. And I would love to get to know you. And I would love to invite you again to Storehouse Social. So please, you can't just search it because it's private, but you can reach out to me. And if you reach out to me, I will send you the address to join me. Thank you all so much for being here. So much love to you. I will talk to you on the next Peace Talks. Mwah! Or in our community. Have a good one. Bye.